what it's like to face that very first blank page. So, here it is. The journal itself is nothing fancy, just a simple notebook with a clean, crisp cover. I spent way too long picking it out, I have to admit. I wanted something that felt right, something that didn't feel too intimidating. You know that feeling? The pressure of a beautiful, expensive journal where you feel like every word has to be perfect. I wanted to avoid that. This one feels like a friend, ready to listen without any judgment. And then comes the moment of truth. The first entry. Day 1. I sat down with my favourite pen, took a deep breath, and stared at the page. For a solid 10 minutes, the blankness was surprisingly loud. My mind went completely empty. What do I even write? Do I start with Dear Diary? That felt a little too cliche for me. Do I just jump right in? What if what I write is boring? What if I look back on this in a year and just cringe? All these thoughts were swirling around, creating this weird paralysis. It's funny how a simple blank page can feel like such a huge hurdle. It represents a commitment, doesn't it? A commitment to yourself, to being honest, to carving out a little bit of time just for your own thoughts. And that can feel surprisingly heavy. I think part of the fear was that I didn't have anything monumental to report. My day was just a day. I woke up, I had coffee, I worked, I answered emails. Was that journal worthy? I almost put the notebook away. I almost decided, okay, maybe tomorrow will be a more interesting day to start. But then I remembered why I wanted to do this in the first place. It wasn't about documenting grand adventures. It was about creating a space for the small stuff, the quiet thoughts, the little anxieties and tiny joys that make up the bulk of our lives, but so often get forgotten. So I decided to just break the ice. I wrote the date at the top of the page. That's it. Just the date. And you know what? It was like a switch flipped. Suddenly, the page wasn't perfectly blank anymore. I'd made my mark. It wasn't so scary. I then wrote down the most basic thing I could think of. Today, I started this journal, and I described the feeling of being intimidated by the blank page. I wrote about the process of choosing the notebook. I basically started narrating the very experience I was having in that moment. And from there, the words started to flow. Not in a perfect poetic way, but in a messy, honest stream. I wrote about how the coffee tasted this morning. I jotted down a funny thing a co-worker said in a meeting that made me smile. I wrote about a worry that had been nagging at the back of my mind all day, and just seeing it written down in black and white seemed to shrink it, to make it more manageable. It was no longer a vague, shadowy monster. It was just a sentence on a page. I didn't try to be profound. I didn't try to sound like a philosopher. I just wrote. I wrote about feeling a little tired. I wrote about a song I couldn't get out of my head. I wrote about what I was looking forward to for dinner. It was a jumble of everything. A snapshot of my mental state at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. There were no paragraphs, just a continuous flow of thoughts. It felt less like writing and more like talking to a version of myself that was a really, really good listener. One of the most interesting things I discovered, even on this first day, was how the act of writing clarified my own feelings. I had this general sense of being a bit off all day, a low-level hum of anxiety, but I couldn't pinpoint why. As I started writing, I touched upon a few different things. A deadline at work, an upcoming appointment, a conversation I needed to have. And by writing them down, I could see the web of connections. I realised, oh, it's not one big thing. It's is these three little things all piling up? Suddenly, the vague feeling had a name, and once it had a name, it felt less powerful. Another surprising benefit was the gratitude. As I was just recounting my day, I wrote down, had a really nice chat with my sister on the phone. It was a 5-minute call, something I might not have even remembered by tomorrow, but writing it down made me pause and appreciate it. It made that small, positive moment feel more significant. The journal wasn't just a place for worries. It was becoming a net to catch the fleeting good moments too. After about 20 minutes, I stopped. I didn't feel like I had to fill the whole page. I just stopped when I felt like I was done. I closed the notebook, and the feeling was incredible. It was a sense of relief, of lightness. It was like I had taken all the jumbled tabs open in my brain and neatly organised them, closing the ones I didn't need anymore. The mental clutter was gone, replaced by a sense of calm and clarity. So, what's the takeaway from day one? First, don't wait for the perfect day to start. Just start. The most boring day can be the perfect entry point because it takes the pressure off. Second, if you don't know what to write, write about not knowing what to write. Describe the blank page, your pen, your feelings in that exact moment is the easiest way to break the seal. Third, it's not for anyone else. It doesn't have to be pretty or smart or well written. It just has to be honest. It's your space. I'm actually really excited for day 2 now. The fear of the first page is gone. It's like the path has been cleared. I don't know if I'll do it every single day, but I know that this little notebook is now a tool I have at my disposal, a safe place I can go to whenever I need it. If you've ever thought about starting a journal, I hope hearing about my slightly awkward, fumbling first day encourages you to just go for it. Grab any notebook, any piece of paper, and just start. You might be surprised by what you find. Thank you so much for joining me on this little journey today. I'm curious, do any of you keep a journal? What was your day 1 experience like? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to read your stories. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.